Hi, my name is Ashutosh, and today we are going to discuss about the basic concept of relative speed, which is part of time and distance in rates of arithmetic. In this one, we will be talking about what is the definition of the relative speed and what are the formulas which are required to solve the questions. Firstly, when we talk about the definition, the speed of one object with respect to the other. For example, when any vehicle is going with 80 km per hour speed, that is the speed with respect to the person who is standing on the earth, right? If you are talking about the other person who is standing in any other moving vehicle, so for that one the speed of that particular vehicle will be different, right? So how do we find out those speeds when the objects are moving in the opposite or the same directions? Firstly, we'll talk about the opposite directions. For example, there are two cars moving in the opposite directions with the speed of x kilometer per hour and y kilometer per hour. In that case, we can say that the relative speed of the object will be x plus y kilometer per hour. Means we can simply add up the speed of the two objects when we have to find out the relative speed of the objects which are moving in the opposite direction. It means the speed of one object with respect to the other. When we talk about the other formula, which is about the same direction, so if the two objects are moving in the same direction, for example, there is a police which is trying to catch a thief, so they both are moving in the same directions. In that case, the relative speed of the two objects will be x minus y, where x is the higher speed and y is the lowest speed. So for example, if the police is driving the car with the x kilometer per hour, thief is going with y kilometer per hour, in that case the relative speed will be x minus y kilometers per hour. It means in 1 hour, the distance between them will decrease by x minus y. So that is the meaning of relative speed when we talk about in the same direction and in the opposite directions, right? So if I have to solve any question, we'll try to use those formulas. For example, you have a question here. It's saying that two trains start traveling towards each other from two cities which are 720 kilometers apart. So there are two cities which are at a distance of 720 kilometers, right? If I have to find out that what is the distance at which they'll be meeting from the city X. So there is a train A which leaves city X at a constant speed of 80 km per hour. Another one is living at 120 km per hour from the Y. So this is X, this is Y, this is train A, this is the train B. This is going with 80 km per hour, and this is going with the 120 km per hour, right? If we talk about the time when they are going to meet each other, so firstly, we'll find out the relative speed. The relative speed in this case will be, because the two objects are moving in the opposite directions, we can say it will be equal to 120 plus 80, that is 200 kilometer per hour, right? Now, if I try to find out the time after which they will be meeting each other, so for that we can find out the time taken is total distance, which is 720 upon total time, that is 200 in this case. So you'll be getting something around 3.6 as the total time, right? So 3.6 hours it will be taking for them to meet each other. If I have to figure out at what distance from the X they will be meeting, it means we have to basically find out how much distance the train A is traveling before it meets the train B. Then we have the formula, which is like, if I have to find the distance, distance is equal to speed into time. Speed in this case is 80 km per hour, and time in this case is going to be 3.6. So when you solve it, you'll be able to get that as 288 kilometer. So the distance traveled by A before meeting the train B is 288 kilometer. It means they both are going to meet at a distance of 288 kilometer from the city X. So you can see that we have used the relative speed here, which is like sum of both speeds when the two objects are moving towards each other. So this is exactly how we will find out the relative speed of the two objects moving in the same direction or in the opposite direction. And you can see how we have used this information in one of the examples.